Well, hello, hello, hello. We are back for more drawing. It is the 6th day of June, and it is another time for drawing and sketching. And the last time I was with you guys, I showed you about shapes, working with shapes and stuff. And I thought maybe I might carry on a little bit more on that subject because it is a pretty good way to work. So what I'm going to do here is I'll pick a brush and I'm going to pick a color to work in. And then I'm going to build um, a character that way. So now with this method, of course, I need to kind of know what I'm going to draw first, right? So we'll draw a person, we'll draw a character. Let's see. So we'll start with a circular head. We'll make this maybe a short character, so we'll give him a kind of a pear-shaped body. Then we'll give him legs and kind of cartoony large feet. Okay. And maybe we'll have one arm behind the character and one out with his hand out like this. You could almost call that a Mickey Mouse pose if you want to, though I'm not going to draw Mickey Mouse. So that could be like a series of shapes that would be could be a character, right? And then from there you can add other things. So like let's say if it's um it could be say a cat, okay? So you could put some cat ears on it. Then maybe split it down the middle here, put a nose here and have a shape like that for the muzzle, and then maybe some little side things here and maybe a tail, right? Then you could also then make you could have the character have clothes if you want. So let's say you put a shirt on them like this, you know, sleeves, short sleeves, right? And then maybe divide it this way so you can put the eyes on here. So maybe you have a couple of ellipses here for where the eyes will go. So you see, these are all shapes on top of shapes. So, it's a good way to say to build a character with shapes. And you put the eye in here or the eyes in here on top on that. You can even indicate where they're going to go. Maybe a mouth. So in a sense, I'm actually doing details now. So, but you can see how I used shapes for that. And a little hair on the top. So, see, I've already really kind of drawn in everything here, even in the blue sketch. So then I can come back in with a black line and work on top. So now I'm working directly on the blue line here. So like say if you were doing this on paper, you would be working the same way. You'd be working directly on top of the blue line. In the old days, a lot of what we did was like that, where we would do the drawing with a blue pencil or a red pencil and then go directly on top of it and do the cleanup drawing. And part of the reason why we worked with the blue pencil was because in the old days we did a lot of the characters were usually Xeroxed, and a Xerox machine would not pick up a certain kind of blue, like a non-photo blue would not be picked up by the Xerox machine. So what would happen is you could do your rough animation. Some people would do rough animation in blue and then clean it up with a black lead pencil line, right? And then, the Xerox it, right? And the Xerox line would be, the only thing that would come out. the So, your cleanup would be just whatever the line was. However you made the line, that's what would show up. So it was a pretty expedient way of working, and you could do your rough sketches in blue, right? And then just go over the entire thing with a black lead pencil, and you'd have your finished cartoon, right? Because like I said, the non-photo blue would not copy. The Xerox wouldn't pick it up. So that was really handy. And some people, that's not how they worked. Um, because when you do your rough sketch underneath, you there. I don't know. And I guess I could speak for some of my colleagues. I think a lot of us, talked about this and had very similar experiences. But there was something about drawing in with a blue pencil or any color pencil for that matter, that because you knew that it wasn't the final line, um, you felt more comfortable doing it. And then, once you got that line done, that sketch done, then you could do your cleanup with the pencil, and knowing that that was the only thing that was going to show. So the rough blue line, you didn't have to go back and erase it or anything like that. A lot of us, a lot of times though, did like to work on a separate sheet of paper to do the cleanup. I know at Disney there was a big issue about that they preferred us to do our cleanup lines on a separate sheet of paper. So even though you could do the blue line and clean it up, they preferred it if we did, because I was the cleanup, I was a breakdown assistant, and so my job was to do in betweens, and a lot of times I would have to go and clean up. Oops. A lot of times I'd have to go and clean up the original. Uh, I'd have to clean up the drawings, the rough animators drawings, but they didn't want anything to go wrong with the rough animators drawings, understandably. So by cleaning up on a separate sheet of paper, we ensured that the original drawing wouldn't be harmed. So if something happened to the original drawing, you know, you you're in trouble. But if you clean it up on a separate sheet, then see if there's a problem with the cleanup, well, you can just clean up the rough again because you still have it, right? So that was just the thing to do, and it was a smart way to work too. You could see the purpose of it. So now, like this drawing here, you can see that it's all it's all done on one layer. So like I can't paint this like I would normally paint my drawings because it's all done on one layer. If I did the cleanup on a separate layer, then it would be easier to paint. So, like for instance, I can do another one. Let's say I'll also use the blue, and let's say we do another circular character. Maybe this one. We still give him a pear-shaped body, but maybe we give him different legs. Maybe the legs are a little thinner. Maybe the feet are a little smaller. Right? This character has got his hands in his pockets. There's a pocket on the side here. And let's see. Shock of hair here. Ears out there. So we split the head and we got a nose here. Maybe this character is thinking. He's got his arm out here. He's kind of got tapping his. It's like he's thinking or something. So one eye up, one eye down, and then kind of maybe he's tapping his face like he's thinking about something. There's a shirt on here. There's the pants. And Some kind of shoes, maybe, I don't know. Some kind of sneakers. Okay. So we got that now. Okay. In blue. And so now what we'll do is I'll use another layer here so that I can trace this on another layer so that I can do a color version. So I go over this. This is what I've been doing before. You all have seen me. All my drawings that I've been doing them this way, where the cleaner line is done on a separate layer. Also remember that when you make your lines this way, that you want to turn the board in a way where your hand flows in a natural direction so that you can make that line effortlessly without taking your pen up from the page. Then you end up with a concise line. So here he's got him. See, he's kind of tapping his finger on his. I'll put a couple of little lines here on the side of his face like he's thinking. Let's see. Let's see here. I don't connect the hair, which means it's going to be a problem when I color it because I'll have to go in there. Now, usually what I like to do there is I like to color the hair, get the spaces in color prior to filling. The reason being is that I use the ability to color the hair by working colors underneath the line. I'll show you what I mean. I've done it before. You've seen me do it before, but maybe I didn't talk about what I was actually doing. Then once I get those colors worked underneath the line, I can actually drop color in because I will have connected the lines. I know I'm talking and it's maybe not making sense, so like I'll have to show you what I mean. So, okay. On cleanup, you practice moving your hand across the page and getting a consistent line. I think what I'm going to do on this I'm going to clean this up again on this layer so that I can paint this cat because I kind of like the cat. I think he's kind of fun. Maybe make the eyebrow line a little thicker. There we go. Dropping color in, of course, is a lot faster to color a character, but you do really have to connect all the lines, and that's the tricky part. And a lot of times, I don't know, I like it when lines are not completely connected because I think the design looks better. You know, like on this hair, for instance, I'm going to do that with the hair. I'm not going to connect this. I'm going to leave it kind of open. And I'll do the same thing with this character that I'm going to do with the other one. Do the same thing with the ear here. Even this cheek hair here, I think I could have some little wispy effects here and not necessarily connect them. Well, that's on the I thought that was on the line there, but it was actually on the surface of the glass. There we go. And there we go. All right. Getting an illustrated look on a clean line on your character sometimes means that you might have to make the line a color too. Sometimes that can help. And I'm thinking of doing that with the whiskers here. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So let's see. It does seem like it just makes sense for the most part to just always clean the line up on a separate layer. Because ultimately, you know, you're probably thinking, I want to paint that. I want to put that in color. So, and it is easier to just drop the color in up to a certain degree. On cleanup too, the more you get practice with making lines and trying to make them smoothly, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. I don't think you ever get perfect at it, but you can get to a point where it just gets easier for you to make a clean straight line. You know, it's like anything else. You know, the more you do it, the more trained you're going to be at it. Let's just. I think on that tail here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to not connect it all. I'm going to give it a little slightly broken look because I think that makes it look more like fur or something, you know. Okay. All right. Oops. Made a little smudge there. All right. So now turn off the bottom light. Okay. So you see what we got there. All right. So now, let's see. So, I need to unravel this. Hand is a little wonky there. Let's see. There. Knuckle there. That's a little better. The hand was getting a little wonky there. Okay. All right. So then on the kid, I'm going to paint underneath here. Okay. So, well, orange here. Like that. Okay. Well, anyway, so I pick a color and then I'm going to work underneath the line. So what I'm going to do here is just put the color underneath the line. So you see I'm not filling in, I'm not dropping color in because these lines are broken. Let me get a little closer in here. And just by putting the color underneath the line, you see that it's a little nicer because then you're connecting the areas that would be open. Then I can go to the paint bucket and just drop that color in there. See, that's what you want to do. Now I want his skin color. I think. Well, let's see. Might be able to just drop color in here. Yeah, we are. Okay. Yeah, great. And okay, shirt. I'll make the shirt red. Oh, I didn't get his legs there. Let's see. Let's see that legs. Okay. Let's see. There's a gray underneath. Let's see, maybe in there. Red and white. Let's see, we got a couple of blank spaces in here with the hair that we need to fill, so we'll just have to go back and paint over that. Okay. That's pretty nice. Okay, so then we'll go and do the cat now. Zoom up on our cat. Let's see. Well, let's see. I could go with a gray color here. So maybe work behind here. So all of the areas where I know that the line is broken, I just put a little dash of color in there in those areas so that I can then later come back and fill it. And I know I gotta find all the areas where I know the line is gonna break up. Yeah. So let's see. I think I'm good here. Yeah. So if I drop color in here, it should. Yeah. Okay, that's good. The hands. Okay. All right. The only downside to coloring underneath the line is whether you care about the shape of the color as it works its way out to the end of your character of the line. So, you know, like if you got a lot of breaks in the line like I do in this, then how you fill that area that's open with color, I guess you're just making a decision as to how much color you want to put in there to fill that in. Okay, now we've got the open areas here. So I would guess probably a lighter color in here, maybe, I don't know, maybe even lighter than that. Light here. And then what else? Well, let's see. Gonna have tongue color there. Inside mouth. Okay. Then we've also got. Give him a red shirt too, or a blue shirt. Let's see. There we go. Oh, that's different. We could make his eyes different. So we could maybe make his eyes kind of orange, since he's a cat. Let's see. All right, let's zoom out. That's kind of neat. All right, then. So, and we can put a background behind these guys. Now let's see. I'll have to make sure I color the pants later because any areas that are white are going to show through in the color in the background. So let's see what color we want to put behind these guys. Well, and then we'll put that in the background, so that'll be another layer down. And we'll draw a rectangle here. And we'll put color in there. Okay, so now all of the areas that would have been white are now blue. So now we need to fill those areas, and we go back to the top layer and we put white in the areas that were white, or that are supposed to be white. Let's zoom up like on the pupils and his eyes. Go back down. There you go. All right, so we got our characters there. That's kind of fun. Let's see. Yeah. All right, so you can see how working with shapes, how you can take those shapes then and you can start to make characters, you know, work with the shapes. It's a pretty good way to design your characters. All right. Well, hey, that was fun. All right, folks, have a great day. I'll see you guys. Let's see. Today, what is today? Today's Friday, isn't it? That's right. So I may be doing my animation part 2 tomorrow, quite possibly. So that's possible that I may do that. Depends on how busy I am this weekend. But I have my daughter and my son-in-law here visiting us for a few days. So I guess it just depends on how much time we spend with them, whether I have time to work on my second part of my animation. But that is coming. So, all right, folks, have a beautiful day. Thank God for the talents and gifts you have, for how he's preserved you in life. And don't forget, Jesus is Lord.